Django REST framework, the DRF, one of the most powerful and popular tools for backend development in Python. In this complete course, we will cover building professional RESTful APIs using DRF, creating secure APIs using authentication and permissions, real-world code operations like pagination, filtering, and view sets, and after that, integrating of GraphQL APIs. This is the modern way to fetch data, and then use of response models, status codes, and best practices, and much more with simple code, real example, and hands-on projects. We will use the same clean and clear lecture format like in our first API course. In this series, you will see the simple explanation, practical code, testing, and assignment at the end of each class. Whether you are building a backend for a web app, mobile app, or full stack project, this series will help you become job ready and confident with modern API development. Let's begin. In this class, we will set up Django REST framework, understand what serializer are, and create our very first API. Let's go. As you see, I open my VS Code, the IDE for this Django REST framework series. We will follow this IDE for our this Django REST framework series. So in today's session, we have three topics. The first topic is how to set up Django REST framework, understand what is a serializer, and build our first very API endpoint. So each of all, first here question arises, what is Django REST framework? Why we use this and why we are going to start this series, why this helpful, it's helpful or not. So what is Django REST framework? Django REST framework is a powerful library that helps you to create RESTful APIs in Django easily. With Django REST framework, you can expose our database to front-end or mobile apps, build JSON APIs without writing raw JSON manually, handle authentication, permission, and CRUD operation easily. So here question arises, basically what is REST? Basically the REST stands for REST stand for representational state transfer. What is this? It is a set of rules and principles used to design and build web APIs that communicate our HTTP. Let me understand what is representational state transfer, the REST. REST is a way for a client like front-end or mobile app to talk to a server like Backend, Django, Node.js, Flask, or Fast API using HTTP methods like get, post, put, delete to perform actions on data. So this is the simple example. What is REST? REST is nothing but a way for a client like the front-end or mobile app client to talk to server, the backend server, talk to the server to the backend using HTTP methods like get, post, put, delete to perform actions on data. I hope this will make sense for you. After understanding REST, so let's come back to Django REST framework. Django REST framework is a powerful library that helps you to create RESTful APIs in Django easily. So here question arises, what is basically Django? What is Django? Django is a high-level Python web framework that helps you build secure, scalable, and maintainable web applications quickly. Django is a Python tool that helps you to build websites fast. It gives you everything like login system, database handling, admin panel, all ready to use. So here question arises, why use Django, not the Flask or Fast API? So basically Django, the built-in features, the batteries included in Django, these comes with everything like authentication, admin, ORM, forms. These are built-ins in Django, so these are the batteries included. In Django, we have batteries included. This will help us to create web applications quickly. The batteries included in Django are authentication, admin panel, ORM, and forms. And in Django, we will build fast development. We have, if we follow the Django, if we use the Django, we will build our APIs. We will build our apps fast. So in Django, we have the way to develop our application fast. So this will help us to develop fast development, build full websites and APIs quickly. Other than that, Django provides security. Django protects against common security threats, SQL injection, CSRF, and XSS. So these are the features which Django provides for the security: CSRF token, SQL injection, XSS. So scalable. The next feature of Django is scalable. Used by big websites like Instagram or Pinterest. And in Django we have admin panel, auto-generated admin dashboard for managing data. So at the end, the most commonly used feature in Django is built-in ORM, connects Python code to SQL database easily. I hope this will make sense for you, why we are going to use Django, why we are going to use Django REST framework, and what is REST. And here another question arises, what can you build with using Django? If you use the Django, you have the capability to develop full stack websites like e-commerce, blogs, and dashboards. And follow Django, using Django, we are going to build easily REST APIs with the help of REST framework. Like in this session, we are going to use and admin panels, backend for mobile or React apps. Don't worry if you are a beginner with Django. In this complete session, you will learn the core concept as well of Django. What are the core component of Django, like the models, the views, the templates and URLs, admin, forms, middlewares, and so on. So you will definitely learn these all. So keep in touch with this channel, share with your friends. Let's start the today's session. So first of all, I am going to create, as you see, we have a project, and here I am going to create classes. I am going to create a folder. Inside this, I am going to pass the classes one today class content here. So in this, as well as we have to create another folder, and the name of this is Django REST framework, which we are using in this session. Inside Django REST framework, now it's time to create our virtual environment where we install our dependencies for Django REST framework. So to create a virtual environment, Python -m venv, and the name for the virtual environment for our this framework is, let's say, venv. So using this command, Python -m venv. So this is the command, and this is the name of our virtual environment folder. Why we need virtual environment? We will install all the libraries and dependencies for this Django REST framework inside this virtual environment. let's create this, and you will see here one new folder is created. Give it some time to create virtual environment. As you see, our command is running successfully, and if I see, I am getting the include libraries, scripts, and so on. So after creating the virtual environment, now it's time to activate this virtual environment. To activate this virtual environment, we have to go cd virtual environment, then cd scripts, then activate. In Windows, I am using the VS Code, and inside terminal of VS Code, I run this command to activate my virtual environment. Cd, first of all, cd the virtual environment, then cd scripts, then inside scripts we have to run the activate, and this is the command. So we have to go two step back, means two folder back. So I come back to Django REST framework again. So here, as you see, our virtual environment is activated with the help of activate inside scripts. So after that, first of all, to work with Django REST framework, we need pip install Django 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 REST framework. Let me zoom out. So this is the command pip install Django REST framework. We have to install this to work with Django REST framework. Let me execute this. As you see, the Django REST framework is installing in this virtual environment. So as you see, I am getting an error because we have a misspelling. We have a mistake of spelling here. Pip install Django REST framework. So this is the correct command. If I write this again and run this again, you will see now the REST framework is going to install. As you see, successfully installed Django REST framework. When successfully installed any library or packages, you will see successfully installed. The current version of Django REST framework is 3.16.0. So clear my terminal cls. So after that, as you see, we have the classes. Here we are going to place our all the question, answer, and the logics here, the examples and explanation here. So this is just for the learning. Now it's time for the coding part of how to we create Django REST framework project. So here if I open this API project, you will see I am getting API project. Basically, this is the project folder where we have all the folders related to this project: settings.py, sg.py, urls.py, wsg.py, and manage. So by using python manage.py start app, and we are going to create an app inside this project. The app name is API. So let me press enter. You will see I am getting another folder API inside this API project. So basically this is our project folder, and this is our API. This is our app inside this project, API project. I hope this will make sense for you. So till now we successfully create a project as well as an API app project and app for our Django REST framework. So after doing this, so let me open the settings.py. This is our project folder. Inside this we have settings.py. So our app name is API. So here you will see so many lists and things. Don't worry, I will explain you each and everything. Just inside installed app list, we have to include, we have to add our app name is API. Our app name is API, as well as we are going to use REST underscore framework. So we add these two, REST framework and API. API is our app, and REST framework we are going to use this inside Django. Basically we are going to add these two to work with Django REST framework, and we add inside settings.py of our project folder. So after that, now it's time to create a first API in Django REST framework. Let's create a simple student API in this session. So for that, to create a simple API, to create an API we need one thing, and I will come here inside model. This is our app. We have a models.py. So here from Django.db import models, and here create your models here. After this comment, I am going to create class student, and this will inherit from models.model, and I need name models dot char field. Max length will be, let's say, 100. After that I need roll number for the student. So models dot integer field. After that, let's say GPA models dot, this will be float field. So inside this model we have three fields: name, roll number, and GPA. After that, def underscore str, then I am going to pass the self, return self.name. So here question arises, why we are writing this code inside models.py. So let's understand what is models.py in Django. Models.py is where we define our database structure using Python classes. With the help of Python classes inside models.py, we will define our database structure using Python classes. As you see, this is a Python class, and we are defining a structure for our database structure. We are defining the structure for our database student, and with the help of Python class. So inside models.py we define our database structure using Python classes. I hope this will make sense for you. In Django you don't write SQL directly. That's why we write this code. Instead you create models, Python classes, and Django creates the database tables for you automatically. So this is the beauty of Django. In Django you don't write SQL directly. Instead you create models. The models is nothing but a Python classes, and Django creates the database tables for you automatically. So here we create. So here question arises, what is model? A model in Django is a blueprint for a table in your database. Each class equal to table, each attribute equal to column. These are the attributes: name, roll number, and GPA. These are the attributes. These will be column for our database, and the student, this class, is basically a table name. The table that in this code we have a table student, and in SQL we have attributes. So in this we have columns. So here you will see the attributes equal to column. So these are the columns for our table student, Inside we use the Python class. I hope this will make sense. So let's understand the first line from Django.db import models. Why this? So basically this imports Django models module required to define any model. So you if you observe, when I open first time this models.py after creating my project, this from Django.db import model is already defined. So from Django.db import models, this module is basically required to define any model. So after that, here let me erase this. So here class student models.model, this create a model class called student, and models.model, inside this models.model means this class is a Django model. Models.model, this show this student class will be is a Django model class. So Django will create a table named student in the database. I hope this will make sense for you. So class student models.model is nothing. Models.model means this class is a Django model, and with the help of this Django will create a table named student in the database. After that we have fields. Each field becomes a column in the database table, and name, the first one here. The name equal to models.char field makes length equal to 100. The char field is basically used for short text like string or name. That's why we for the name we are going to use the char field. Why char field? This is help us to provide short text, to store short text in a database. So models.char field, short text like we like a string or name we will store in this variable name. So max length equal to 100. This means name can't be longer than 100 characters. The name field cannot be greater than longer than 100 characters. So after that we have roll number, models.integer field. Integer field is basically help us to provide to use and store the whole numbers in database. As you know, the roll number is a whole number like 101, 102. So for that I use integer field for the roll number to store whole number. And then we have GPA, models.float field. The float field is basically used to store the decimal numbers like 3.7, 4.40 and something. So for GPA I use float field to store the decimal number, and for the roll number I use integer field for store the whole number. This roll number will always store the integer field. GPA will always store the float, the decimal field, decimal number, as well as the char field is basically help us to store short text inside this name field. So here you see what this code def under underscore string str under underscore we provide self, return self dot name. When we print a student in the admin panel or shell, it shows the name instead of something like the student objects are like this. Just makes debugging easier. That's why I use this def under underscore str under underscore self. This will help us. This is basically string representation. This is an optional but useful. If you use this, we will print a student in the admin panel or shell, and this will shows the name instead of something like the student object not readable. So this will help us to readable in the admin. So in this code the models.model makes the class a Django model, a Django database models. The char field is basically using to store text field with length limit, and then integer field to store the whole number, and then the float field for decimal number, and under underscore str show readable name inside admin panel. We will see this, um, how this will help us. After creating this code, we have to run some commands. Python manage.py make migrations. Let me run this. As you see, create model student. After that, we have to run another command, python manage.py migrate. Run this. As you see, something is happening here. Don't worry, I will explain you each and everything. Here question arises in your mind, what are these commands doing inside this project? Basically, we first understand what are migrations in Django. Migrations are Django's way of tracking changes to your database structure. When you add a model, add or remove fields, rename something, you must migrate those changes to the actual database. So what are migration in Django? As you see, we create a model student. Migration, this migration commands, migrations or Django is a way of tracking changes to your database structure. That's why I run two commands, python manage.py make migration and migrate. So here the command migration. The first command which I run here, python manage.py make migrations. This make migrations tells Django to prepare migration files based on model changes. This make migrations tells Django to prepare migration files based on model changes after editing or creating models.py. Whenever you edit models.py, you have to definitely run make migrations. This will tell Django to prepare migration files based on models changes. And after that, I run another command, python manage.py migrate. This is the second command. The first one is make migration and the second one is migrate. This basically applies the migration files to your actual database. After make migrations, we get the migrations files. So these migration files we have to apply these migration files to our actual database. So after make migration, to update DB we have to run migrate, and this will apply the migration files to our actual database. After that, we have another command, show migration. Show migrations. As you see, the correct command is python manage.py show migration. This show migration basically shows a list of all migrations. Shows a list of, as you see, let me show you. Shows a list of this show manage.py show migrations command. This will shows a list of all migrations and whether they have been applied. For checking migration status, this command is helpful, python manage.py show migrations. Hello and welcome everyone. Just like our first API series, this new course will teach you modern API development